Anna, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Anna Reger from Houston, Texas, and I'm a mom and bonus mom to six.
Very cool. Now you are definitely a mom, but you do some other stuff as well. You are a serial entrepreneur. Tell us about some of the stuff that you work on.
So we have real estate investments. I have Rockstar Wigs, which is a fun. I had a company when my daughter was a baby. I started Don't Kiss the Baby because I was worried about her getting germs. That's
Mhm.
11 years old now. I have several other just businesses that we do short-term rentals and things like that.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about your invention called the Flip Lock.
Flip Lok is my mission to save lives. It is a easy to use device. It attaches to the frame of the door, and all you have to do is flip it and it drops and it locks.
Very cool. So, as a mom and as an inventor of a secondary door lock, why do you feel that it's so important to keep our family safe?
Well, I believe it's an innate trait initially, right? It's as soon as that baby came out of my body, my initial emotional feel is to protect. And that's just as a parent, I think we come out. That's our duty, and we can't help that. And so in that you want to always protect your children, and unfortunately we're not there with them all the time. And how can we give them a way to protect themselves when we're not there, and know that they can actually go into action and protect themselves? So it's super important for me to know that my daughter has a way to protect herself when I'm not there.
Absolutely. My audience are parents just like you and me, and I call them protector parents because they are the parent that really embraces that role of being a protector. So that is outstanding. You are, Anna, a protector parent in my book.
Thank
Um,
you.
so why did you create the flip lock? I mean, a lot of people have some really cool ideas, but they never actually follow through with it. Why did you decide to follow through and create this?
Well, it had been something that my husband and I had talked about for many years, with the original, unfortunate situations that have been happening in schools. And we talked about it. Oh, somebody has it. And then another situation happened, another situation. And then one day, my daughter came home from school and there was a situation in our area. And I said, hey, what do you do in that situation? Mommy really needs to know what, now it's in my face. I need to think about this and we need to get serious. And just talking about it makes me emotional. And so I said, mommy needs to know. And she said, she's supposed to run into the classroom. She's supposed to get behind against the wall, turn off the light, close the door. But she wasn't sure if the door was locked. She said, the teacher's supposed to lock the door. And I said, well, what happens if your teacher's not there? And she said, I don't know, mommy. And I said, oh my God, we have a problem. And as a entrepreneur, as a problem solver, as a mom, as a protector, I said, I went into action right away. And my husband, we got together. We talked about it. And one day he woke up and it came to him in this dream and he said, oh my God, I got it. And then what he made, we had it 3D printed. And then I said, we got to make it red. The kids need to know it's an emergency use device. When they flip it, I need them to know what's the next step. Call 911. And then you get away from the door, because I, as a mom, don't think that any of our children, because we all know our children are protectors also. I don't want my child to sacrifice herself for her classmates. That's the kind of kids that I know I have. And so
Right.
it alarmed me at an astronomical rate to absolutely go into action. And in that, I have six children, right? So I have a 19-year-old daughter in an apartment. Oh my God, Mr. Maintenance Man has a key to her apartment. So then we go into that. Oh my God, my son lives in his own house. We need to have a secondary way for him. Oh my God, my son's in a dorm with four other college classmates. I don't know who got the key to his apartment, but we made an adapter where you could put it in your bedroom. So my son can actually put it in his bedroom and go to sleep. And guess what? I feel relaxed because I know at night my son's door in his apartment, because it's a communal type apartment, the kids share an apartment when they're in
Right.
college. And I know his apartment. So everything was because of all my children and all the ranges of where they are. And, and I feel as a mom that that's the best, I'm going to do the best I can to protect all of them. And in that, I feel every parent probably feels the same way I do. It's just maybe, they don't know how to do it, but I'm going to at least give us a tool. Can we do something? I wanted something. My friends are like, oh my God, Anna, this is great. I'm home alone. I'm a single woman. I want to put this in my bedroom at night because I can go to sleep and actually know that I feel safe. And I was putting a chair under my door at night because I was scared. And this is a real situation, right? So then I have grandma who's 82 years old, my mother-in-law. She doesn't like to lock the door because she has arthritis. Well, this
Mm.
thing is amazing for her. And then we have kids, we have nieces, I have a big family, right? So we have little nieces and nephews that come over and we have a pool in the backyard. Well, we put it up really high so that the kids can't get out. So it's served every purpose as a parent, as an aunt, as a, just a protector of children. And that's how Flip Lok was created.
Yeah, and you just talked about how applicable it is to all these different situations, and that you have ones that are for doors that open outward and open inward. Some are for commercial use, and some are for home use. And I have one on the front of my house, and when I saw your product, I thought to myself, this erases a lot of the problems that I have with secondary locks that are on the market, because some of them, like the old key latch thing or the chain latch
Oh,
thing that you put on there, I used to put those on my door when I was in college and thinking that I was safe. And it doesn't work because you got those little tiny screws. Anybody could just kick that thing right off. But what I liked about yours was it actually just locks and shifts down into place so easily. Children can also open it really easily, and it doesn't look like this huge monstrosity that is attached to your door. It looks like it belongs there. So my hat's off to you for creating something that is so versatile.
thank you. Yeah, that was the goal. The goal was to make something that we don't need to screw into the door, so we don't have to mess up the aesthetics of the door. Something that if we are in my kid's in an apartment, they're not going to try to charge us all this money for her moving out because she destroyed the door. But the door frame, and when she takes it out, all she has to do is put liquid nail or whatever in there and it's done. Nobody knows about the frame. And so we wanted it to be something that everybody could use and easily to install and not be this hard thing that you have to be mechanically inclined to install. And it's really not. It's pretty simple as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is. And I tell people, if I can do it, you can do it, that sort of thing. So, kind of going back to school safety, that is something that every parent has anxiety about. It's just because there are so many unknowns.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think schools need to be doing to better protect their students? Are there school districts out there that you see that are doing things that you really like? What are some things that we need to know as parents?
Yes. So first, if as a parent, what I would advise is ask your children, get involved. What is your protocol? Number one, you need to know that. We don't want to know in the action time and wonder what they're doing right now. We need to know exactly what they're doing. And in that, you can find the issues. Like I said, what happens if your teacher's not there? You need to find things where you can coach them to make sure that they're able to go into action to protect themselves, right? And if you feel that the system that they use, where some schools are using a lower fire alarm, you'll be shocked, absolutely
Mhm.
shocked. It's atrocious. There's no standard. So you need to let your school board, you need to let people know you have to be your child's advocate. You absolutely have to go into action for your children because we are their protectors. We are the ones that will jump in front of something if it's coming from my kid, period. And we have to step up and do better for our children. We're doing them a disservice by turning a blind eye and acting like the school's going to go and protect our children. If you're not happy with what they're doing, you absolutely have a voice and you can go to the school board and you can say, hey, you guys need to do better. And this is what we see. And what I see personally is I know for a fact the state of Texas does not have a standard. Everywhere you go, it's a different, and it can be in the same district, a different alert, a different state, whatever it is, a different protocol. Totally unacceptable. And in Illinois, I believe they have a standard. And I created a standard for us in Texas or any state that does not have a standard. And I made a unique alert so that our kids know that that is a sound to go into action because somebody is trying to come in or is on the campus that shouldn't be there. It's not meant to scare them. It's meant to send them in action. What action? Run into the classroom, shut the door, flip the lock. It drops and it locks. Reminds them to call 911. And they still get against the wall. But then I made a secondary thing. I said, it's so important for our children to know when it's safe, an all clear alert. Why? Because you see it all the time when the police are coming in. These children are terrified. They don't know if it's a good guy or a bad guy coming in. They just know somebody's coming in and we are on lockdown. They need to know that it's safe for them to open that door. They don't need to come out of the classroom, or whoever's coming in is safe so they can relax, because we don't need our kids having post-traumatic stress syndrome because they're in school and somebody decided to run these drills, or they don't know if it's a drill or it's a real situation. We need our kids to, be aware. They like structure, they need steps. And I believe that that's what we can do better as a community, as a society, and as parents for our children. We're doing them a disservice by not having a standard uniform alert. If it's a fire, it's a fire. We know what to do.
Right. And you raised a lot of good points there. And I actually just read an article not long ago about how some students were having like a ton of anxiety over this because the lockdown drills were so scary or were real, and they aren't being handled. I think you have educators who are trying to do the right thing, and there's a lot of red tape involved, as I'm sure that you have encountered in all
Yes.
of your work, that really I feel like we just need to have somebody come down or sit down as a group and come up with something. And if it doesn't work, amend what you've got and see
Right.
how that's going to work. I like your idea about having two different tones, because when I was in elementary school, there was a shooting in our community at a school, and I went from fourth grade to graduating in the 12th grade, and we never had a lockdown drill. We never had anything. And if of any community that was going to be motivated to do something, it would have been that one. But nothing was ever done. And of course, also in that time, I was in high school when Columbine happened, and it was in those moments when I started to realize, hey, you know what, my safety is my own responsibility. And honestly, that's where I give credit for where the Secure Dad started. So this is something that I feel is important to me as being a student who's had to wonder this before, who didn't have any sort of a lockdown drill, and now today we have, just kind of a grab bag of whatever district wants to do whatever thing. And it's still kind of left up to chance. And we as parents don't want that.
Right. I don't want anybody coming into my daughter's school and doing a mock shooting scenario. I don't care who they are or how they think they're qualified. That is terrifying. And I don't think that's okay. Do I think it's okay to have a unique alert? Yes. But do I think it's okay to come in with smoke and all these other extreme ways? Absolutely not. I just don't think so. I mean, these children are being terrified. And that, I have to say, I absolutely feel strongly and disagree with. And I think that's where we can get our elected officials to step up and say, okay, it's time for us to step in as the governing authority and say, this is a standard that we're going to do because the other stuff is not working.
Okay. So, you kind of talked about this, as parents, what are some, we can talk to our teachers and we can talk to the principal. In your experience and the people that you've talked to, what level of authority have you been able to go to where you've seen the most change?
Where I've seen the most change,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually at the Capitol here in Texas. I go to Austin. I'm speaking to House committee people. I'm talking to state reps. I'm talking to state reps on Zoom in other states. And I think everybody is now starting to be in the consensus that we do need to standardize and we do need to do better. It's just, I haven't seen a lot of change, if you will.
Mm.
Everybody still has, their own idea. Like you said, everybody has an idea of what's right and what's wrong. And there's a lot of red tape. And I think that if we can get enough parents and enough moms like myself and dads like yourself together, that we can actually get together and create change for our kids and for their safety. And not only that, for their mental health. If our kids know that they can go into action and there's a device, they'll absolutely relax and learn better in school. If our teachers know that they're not the end all be all for securing 20 to 30 kids, absolutely they're going to teach better. They're not going to be stressed. They're not going to be leaving in astronomical numbers like they are. I mean, their job is already stressful. And now they have the only device, the only key to protect our children. I don't think it's fair, honestly.
Yeah. And I agree. I think there's the issue of you have to be reactive in the moment. And that's kind of where Flip Lok comes in. I have tried to work within my own personal school district to try to get education for teachers to spot the behaviors of potential school shooters before they ever do anything wrong, to try to intervene so that that kid never feels like the right answer is to bring a gun to school. And
Right.
so I think if you can be reactive and proactive, we're going to be a whole lot better off.
Right. I've partnered with a safe school program with Crime
Mhm.
Stoppers,
Yep.
and they're pretty big advocates for what we're doing. And one of the things I had suggested in the beginning was putting in boxes, like the kids can anonymously say, hey, little Johnny's doing this, or hey,
Mhm.
I'm scared about this, or I'm being bullied. And yeah, you'll get the kid that might say something that's not true. But if you
Right.
get five of those same things from different kids, then but children are not going to text, they're not going to email, and they're definitely not going to go to the principal because they're scared of retaliation. And retaliation nowadays is not just beating you up in the corner, it's social media, it's so much more
Mhm.
than we ever had to deal with as children. So I feel like it's very strong for us to go and give the children a different way to have a voice rather than with technology. It needs to be old school, when we were kids. We had everything was different than when these kids now have a whole different thing to deal with: the internet, the social media bullying. I mean, it just gets to be a lot for our children, and I'm worried about them, and the future of them. And spotting a child is really difficult because most of the time you don't know, because they only do those things on social media. So how do we communicate? I mean, a kid could print that out and drop it in a note box, and nobody would know who turned it in, right? So Safe Schools actually does that. In some schools, they have boxes where they have people that check them on each corridor of the school. So I was really happy to hear that. I think that's a step in the right direction to helping our children with those type of issues.
Yeah, and that's good. I like the completely anonymous aspect to it. I will say in our school district last year, we had an instance of either a kid bringing a gun to school or making threats to bring a gun to school just about once a month last year. And this is in, what I would call a nice school district in a nice area. And we have the anonymous texting number,
Mhm.
and all of those cases were handled before anybody ever got in trouble because they trusted the anonymous text, that they could go in and do that. So
Mhm.
I hope, that's just something that may be unique in our district. I hope that districts do have something where people can use technology to do it, or use this Dropbox system that you're talking about,
Right.
that can alert people to the fact that, hey, we need to do something before things get really bad.
Yeah.
So um, so Anna, from your point of view as a mom, as an entrepreneur, what do you think it's really going to take? What does a fully safe school look like to you?
A fully safe school looks like a school that has a standard. In all the schools have a unique, like a fire drill, that is the same type of drill, except our kids don't leave the building. They go into hiding, right? With the
Mhm.
device that they can use. That can be, if you're in a wheelchair, you should be able to protect yourself. You should not be exempt. I think that's a big deal. If you have crutches, you should be able to protect yourself. It's a big deal. It needs to be a device that everybody can use. And as far as I'm concerned, if a 5-year-old can't use it, it's useless, because my 5-year-old is pretty smart and she can absolutely go into action.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that a lot. So Anna, tell us where we can find out more about you and Flip Lok and what you're doing.
You can find my website is fliplok.com, and I have Instagram fliplok.usa, and Facebook Flip Lok Official, and then I have Anna Reger Official, and that is my Instagram. And you can follow me and see what I'm doing and follow me on my journey. And if you'd like to join me, and maybe we get signatures or something for people that can push for changes in our over all of our school districts, because that's what I'm doing. I'm pushing for standardization of these drills across the United States.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, Andy.